um, what's up, guys? I know it's been a minute. It's your boy Johnny G from the Conference Podcast. uh, long time no speak. A lot has happened. Uh, you know, specifically pertaining to the Houston Texans, because that's what we're talking about today. Um, there's probably been. Honestly, I'm not even gonna lie. I've kind of been like in it a little bit, but like if you watch the most recent game against the Detroit Lions, wow. Like Joe Mixon said in the interview, everyone was pretty much left speechless. It was a tough loss, man, and it still stings right now. If you're, you know what I'm saying, if you're a fan like that. It was a tough loss to witness, man, considering how well we played in the first half. 5 consecutive weeks have not scored a touchdown in the second half of football games. It's a pretty big deal. That's a pretty big it's like a stat you don't want to hear. You know what I mean? That's like a Texans fan. Especially with considering how talented the offense is, even without Nico Collins. I mean, CJ Stroud, one of the best quarterbacks in the league. And it's tough to say that. It really is. But, peaks and valleys, man. Peaks and valleys. You're going to have your highs, you're going to have your lows, but don't get too high, don't get too low. Kind of something I wanted to touch on, man, was how I feel really with this I guess podcast is going to be about is how we're not in such a bad spot like we think we are. You know what I mean? Like how it feels, at least. For Texans fans, it feels pretty bad. Even though the record is 6-4, you would think that the Texans have only won 2 games with the way that we've played recently, and I think that's what it was. And also the crazy high expectations coming into this season were, Super Bowl. We got players like Stephon Diggs, drafted a corner out of Georgia, Kamari Lassiter, made some deals in free agency, got Daniil Hunter from the Vikings. Just, really big moves that you don't normally see the Houston Texans make. And, yeah, man, you just kind of felt like it was going to be all it. It was going to be it this year. Not to say that it's not, like I said, peaks and valleys, but it's just, I think I don't know if you want to call it a misinterpretation or just what I feel like the fan base is, if you go on Twitter and kind of check everything out, kind of just see a lot of people making it seem a lot worse than what it is. And what I wanted to say was it's not as bad considering that we're 6-4 through 10 games. I didn't know. It's my dog at the door, by the way. She wanted to be a part of this, but I told her no, you didn't do enough homework for the video, so I'm sorry. But 6-4 through the last 10 games, and apparently this is where we were sitting at last year through 10 games as well, which is not bad. It's really not bad. 3-0 in the division, great. The chances of us making the playoffs look really good from where we sit at right now. Offense just needs to kind of handle the miscues a little bit better and just kind of come together a little bit more. And I'm, luckily that's why you got the regular season for all that stuff right there. I would say as bad as we've played in the second half of football games lately, as bad as we played in the second half of football games lately, it's not the end of the world, considering that we're still 6-4. Considering that aside from the Vikings blowout loss, which, we ain't got to get into, we have been in every single game of really, really tight games up until, late in the third, fourth quarter, whenever it may be. But those games all the games we lost are very, very close games. Whether they're by one score or a field goal or less. And considering not scoring any points in the second half of these games, the last 5 games, fact that we've lost only by maybe 1 score or less is pretty. It's kind of insane if you really think about it. It shows it's a big testament to our defense, which has played phenomenal this year. Absolutely insane, man. That defense is awesome. I love that defense, man. Even without, Will Anderson, the defense seemed to do its job for the most part this past Sunday against the Lions. Just tough when you miss players like that, and especially Christian Harris being out as well. Nico Collins not being there as well. It's been pretty tough, but I think that we're going to pull it together, especially I think that we're going to probably surprise some people. That's the hope at least. But because obviously any given Sunday, right, anything can happen. But I think that, later on in the year, the Texans got 3 games in like 10 days. 3 games within like 10 days. That should be fucking illegal. I'm sorry, but like Roger Goodell, what are you doing? 3 football games, professional football games within 10 days of each other. No, I'm sorry. That is wild, man. It's the Dolphins, whenever that game may be, and then you have the Chiefs it's the Dolphins, the Ravens, and the Chiefs. You know what I mean? Like 2 tough teams like that back to back, all within 10 days. Yeah, Roger, we're gonna need to talk about that one, especially. I don't even want to put that out there. But all right, I'm gonna have to put it out there to give a little bit more context. But like, players could get hurt, man. You know what I mean? Like, it's amazing that NFL players play a full season to begin with. If you think about how fast they go and how hard they go, and they gotta be physical at practice. They gotta show up on game day, and like, it's amazing that some players play the entire year. You know what I'm saying? Like in football games. It's amazing that some players have like records of 100 games, where they've started and they haven't missed a game. Like, kudos to those players, because if you think that those players aren't playing injured at least a little bit, whether they're sore in some area, some muscle somewhere, like, you're out of your mind. Think about it. This is grown men, sometimes 300 pounds, running probably 5 flats, 4 eights, or something like that, like, and coming to hit you as an offensive player. Yeah, you think you're not going to be injured for a couple days, you know what I mean? Maybe even the rest of the season. Like, if you just take a sack or you get hit a certain way inside week 1, like, that could linger throughout the rest of the year. But anyway, yeah, that's wild, those 10 games. But what I wanted to touch on was, man, what an addition Joe Mixon has been for the Houston Texans this offseason. That's another one I actually forgot to mention. But, like, you know what I mean? Like, going all out on players like that. I just want to say, first off, man, that I absolutely, before I start this video, I absolutely love Joe Mixon's leadership that he's brought to the locker room, especially since Stephon Diggs has gone down. I feel like Joe Mixon has been this leader throughout the whole year, but you didn't really see it until Stephon Diggs went down. And I think it's really cool to hear just the confidence and just the perspective that he displayed this past week after they interviewed him after the Lions game. Like, it's just, I don't know, to me, it just shows me that, like, no matter what, like, these players, they got that dog mentality, you know what I mean? They got that mentality to help them. They got players in the locker room, and even for C.J. Stroud, man, he's got players like this in the locker room to help uplift them when times are hard like this and they can't score touchdowns in the second half of football games. Like, it's not just on one player, it's like on all of them as a unit, and people, pinpoint the offensive line, they pinpoint, this and that. You could sum it up to everything, but at the end of the day, you win as a team and you lose as a team. great teams at least. If you start finger pointing and saying this and that because of so and so, like that's when it just gets a little sloppy, and that's when it's like that's when I think just good teams kind of fall apart in a way. You know what I'm saying? You obviously you take accountability, which I think CJ Stroud does all the time. He puts most of those games on himself, which I love as a fan and as a someone that loves the game of football and loves CJ Stroud. Like you like to see him do that because that's what a quarterback should do. That's what a quarterback I feel like should say those things. They put those games on them. I could have been better. I should have done this. I should have done that. At the end of the day, I'm always gonna love you, CJ Stroud, and I'm sure the rest of Houston will as well. But I keep getting off track because of how much I'm talking. Anyway, look, this is what Joe Mixon had to say about the game. There's 2 quotes that he had to say after the game. Go ahead.
I mean, at the end of the day, that's a playoff atmosphere that we just went through. When it comes down to it, I've been on both sides of the spectrum. I've been on the winning side. I've also been on the losing side. Today was just unfortunate. I was on the losing side. But when it comes down to it, that's what we're going to get. That's what we're going to see. And we got to put our best foot forward, going forward. And I honestly feel like we got all the guys in this locker room to be able to be what we want at the end of the year, which I highly feel like we will. It's that point in the middle of the season where, things happen and, it's no excuse. That's a game that we should have had. We did have, and, obviously it slipped. But, it ain't going to get no easier. And I'm going to take it, take it all upon myself to make sure our guys, is ready. You know what I'm saying? That we finish these games. We got to stop playing to lose. We got to stop playing to not lose. You know what I'm saying? And go play to win. You know what I'm saying? So I just feel like we got to just take initiative, own it, own our work, and look each other in the mirror. It is what it is.
So that right there, man. I like that he took it upon himself to say, I'm gonna make sure, I help get these guys ready. You know what I mean? Like that right there for me was like, I don't know. It's been a big eye opener for me seeing how, like, this was right after the game, and I feel like his confidence right there, kind of seeing it. He's not like all down, and he's not, head low. It's like, yeah, man, we let it go. We got it. Like everyone understands that we let that game get away from us. But he's not hanging his head about it either because he knows we got another game next week. And at the end of the day, it's not like that game was win or go home. But he's saying that's the kind of atmosphere that those games are like. You know what I mean? And to show that that's one of the NFL's best teams and we can still kind of hang in there with them, even without playing our best football, is encouraging. Because think about when we get these things fixed. Think about when we get these miscues handled, about how much better we're going to be. And he talked about how pretty much trying to, like, we need to stop playing safe and just play to win the game. And I agree with that 1,000% because you'll see on a bunch of, third downs, it's like, why are we running the ball on third down? On 3rd and 10 at least. You know what I mean? Especially in that Lions game in particular, like, running the ball on 3rd down, running the ball on 3rd and 10 when you ain't been able to run the ball well the entire game, like, to me, it don't make sense. I don't know why you do that, and that's exactly, I believe, what he's referring to when he's talking about playing safe is just you got one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, and I feel like with every throw, he typically gets better. You know what I mean? Like, C.J. Stroud is he's one of those guys, man, and as of lately, yeah, it's been tough, but, one thing I love, too, is CJ is really big on his faith, man. And for whatever reason, I believe the Houston Texans are going through these lows for a reason because it's kind of like, in a way, showing them, like it's kind of humbling a little bit. You know what I mean? It's kind of humbling and it kind of showing them, like, just because y'all have this quarterback and just because y'all are this good football team doesn't mean y'all going to go in there and win every game. And you got to be on top of it. You got to be like, it's the NFL, man. It's a professional football league. Anyone could beat anyone. You got to be on top of your game at all times, no matter who you're playing, even if it is a bad team with a bad record or even if it is a great team with a great record. You can't ever take your foot off the gas pedal, as they say. So, yeah, man, 1,000% agree with Joe Mixon there. Also, just, again, love the dude's leadership that he's been bringing to the team right now, and I believe that's really, really good for C.J. Stroud's development. And this is another quote after the game.
Positions, we needed that same thing, and as a collective group, we just fell short.
As a group,
you've expressed a lot of confidence about this group quite a few times.
No doubt.
Do you think everybody else in here feels the same way about what y'all are?
Oh yeah, no, man. Listen, we're not gonna flinch. I promise you that we're not gonna flinch. We're not going nowhere. When it come down to it, we know what team that we are. We know what we're capable of, and when it come down to it, like I said, we just gotta finish. We gotta play better when it matters. All the marbles on the table, we gotta go win. We gotta go execute, and that's the name of the game. 4 quarters, 60 minutes, any given Sunday, man. But like I said, listen, I'm the most confident dude in the world. But when it come down to this team, like I said, I done been in a special locker room, man. Like I said, bro, we got it here. Trust me, we got it here. Just like I said, it's gonna take this one sting. I'm gonna be real, it do. I mean, when it come down to it, it left a lot of people speechless. We let our fans down. We let our brothers down. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. But we got to bounce back and get ready, for another primetime game. We got to put it on tape. And I got the utmost confidence in our guys that we're going to bounce back and we're going to put it together.
I don't know how you can't love that man as a Houston Texans fan after that right there. One of the most confident dudes in the locker room for sure. After everything that's been going on, man, but I love that he's sitting there just constantly saying and Joe Mixon has been in the league for a little bit. You know what I mean? That's a veteran running back right there. That's a veteran player. And he's been in a Super Bowl before with Joe Burrow at one point. So, like, he's seen what it takes to be able to get there. He's seen the teams and how, they handle themselves in practice and whatever the case may be. He's been a part of some really good teams, you know what I mean? And the Super Bowl team at one point, yeah, they fell short, but he's been on a squad like that before. So coming from experience, he knows exactly what it takes to be able to get there. And for him to say something like that, man, I think it's huge. Like, it's not like it's not like the Water Boys coming out there and it's like, yeah, man, we got a Super Bowl winning team because we got C.J. Stroud and we got Nico Collins. Nah, man, this is Joe Mixon we're talking about, man. And for him to say something like that, I think it's huge because it's very impactful. You know what I mean? You hear that and you're just like, wow. Like, you know what I'm saying? If he's still got some confidence and he's still talking about, you know what I'm saying? I know this team has what it takes. Obviously they got to play better and they just got to, you know what I'm saying? When everything's on the line, they got to come together and start, hey, we got to drive to win the game. Let's go do it because that's who we are. Like, they got that in them. We've seen that, week one. You know what I mean? Like, we've seen those flashes before. But you can't win every single game. You know what I mean? Even it just, I don't know. I could be wrong, but I think the Dolphins did it like way back when. And I don't know that there's ever been a team that's done it since. And I just feel like in this modern day that we're in, the level of talent, that's not an easy thing to do. The Kansas City Chiefs are well on their way to possibly do it. Even though they've come out with some ugly wins, they've still won some football games, and they find a way to get it done. But that's also, they got a couple Super Bowl rings under their belt. Patrick Mahomes is a beast, and so is that defense, my God. But anyway, that stuff right there, man. So essentially what I'm saying, to kind of get down to it, is Houston Texans fans, I don't think you should worry too much because we got a hell of a lot of football still to play. A little bit more time to show what the offense is capable of, more than capable of. We're getting Nico back. And, I mean, although we've had some teams where we've been put to the test and we fell short, unfortunately, we still got two really, really big games at the end of the year to really show where exactly are y'all at now. You know what I mean? These are two teams regarding the Ravens and the Chiefs. These are two teams that we will very well see in the playoffs no matter who we play in the wild card. You're always going to see the Ravens and the Chiefs in the playoffs no matter what. That's how good those football teams are. Very well-coached football teams, very good head coaches, great organizations, man, and have been doing it for a long time no matter who is at quarterback for those teams. Those teams are very, very good. And when they get talented players like Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes, they just take it to a different level as far as competition goes because, you know what I'm saying, they just upgraded. But, yeah, man. I'm extremely confident, man. I was very, very upset after the game on Sunday, but after hearing those post game quotes from a press conference or just them talking to players, the media from Joe Mixon, man, it's hard not to kind of pick your head up and be like, we do have what it takes. It's going to take some time. Earlier today, D'Amico was talking about how we're taking the stairs, not the escalators, as far as building a championship culture. Like, this is part of what it takes, you know what I mean? And even great teams lose games, you know what I mean? You just can't sit there and dwell on it too long. You just got to turn the page, it's a whole new week now. Can't sit there and you can't rerun it, this ain't Madden, bro. Yeah, extremely, extremely confident moving forward, man. The next, I think, 3 games we got are very winnable games, but, the big test is the Chiefs and the Ravens, and I believe maybe after those games I will be back here to talk about, hopefully, what did I tell you? What did I tell you? You know what I mean? But with that being said, man, I would definitely try and be more consistent, man. I got a couple people, like I say this all the time. I know this, like, man, he said this all the time, bro. Who he got lined up? He act like he got, you know what I mean, like Schoolboy Q or, some very famous person coming on here. Hey, well, they famous in my heart, bro. So whether y'all think they famous or not, they famous to my heart. There's a reason I'm bringing them on here. But I got a couple people lined up in my head, who I'm trying to bring on here. But anyway, look, appreciate y'all tuning in. Appreciate y'all watching. Like, subscribe, share, follow on the socials, man, please. And just whatever y'all do, man, if y'all want to come on, talk about something you're passionate about, whatever the case may be, just shoot me DM, shoot me a text if you got my personal number, and we will definitely line something up, I'm trying to be more consistent with this stuff, guys, all right? You act like people ain't got lives, all right? And don't go through shit. Calm down. I can hear people yelling at me already. I'm sorry. All right, man. Well, y'all take care, and I'll see you on the next one, man.